as the streak comes to an end tonight. They fail to get it to 5 as they fall to the Raptors 110-98 in a game that was really, for all intents and purposes, decided in the first quarter. Let's talk about it. Welcome into the fifth quarter. I'm your host, Chris Burkhardt. If you want to join the conversation, 503-248-0620 is the telephone number. You can also go to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio. Join the chat there. Hit us up on the text line, 88528. And just in case he's listening, Travis, I'm never sitting back here shouting at you to, shut up and toss it to me. I enjoy listening to you. You're wonderful. And I will hang my hat on what happened 22 years ago when the Red Sox beat the Yankees and came back from 3-0. Okay? Don't pick on me for it. Go Sox. All right, back to basketball action. Got to get it in there. A little dig. It was a rough one. A rough one for the for the game. As Gamian Skillard says, anyone have an extra set of eyes laying around? I clawed them out after the first quarter. That first quarter was bad. At one point, the team was 2 for 20 from the field and 0 for 9 from beyond the arc. They were hovering on 6 points until late in that quarter. And for those of you who want to know, because I'm sure that was the first thing going across your mind, is what was the lowest amount the Blazers have ever scored in a single quarter. It was 5 points. I believe it was March 15th, 2006. I think it was the number we found against the Brooklyn Nets. They lost that game 78-65, scored just 5 points in the fourth quarter. The fewest points the team has ever scored in the first quarter was 7. So at least they got over that, but this was a rough one from the jump. First quarter was bad. First half was bad. They found ways to play better and get back in it. I mean, they took the lead a couple times in that second half, but that first quarter is just, you think about it. You exert all that energy trying to come back after playing so bad, and even if you do take the lead, now you got to try to hold it. And in a game like basketball where it's, I punch you, you punch me back, and you're trading blows, yeah, you might claw back, but you got to work hard because Toronto is going to send you a blow back, and that's what happened. Scotty Barnes played great. Brandon Ingram played great. I mean, holy smokes. Sandro Mamu Kelashvili. Wow, what a game. What a game he had tonight. He was everywhere. So, yeah, it was just a bad first quarter of basketball. As again, one of our chatters says, if the hoop was on the side of a backboard tonight, it would have looked dangerous. Like, I get what you're saying. And just, what do you do? What do you do? I'm not too upset because the team have been playing so well. You're going to have these off nights. They came into the game as the worst three-point shooting team in the league, and that bit them in the rear end tonight as they shot just 13 of 45 from beyond the arc. Keep in mind, last game, which was just last night, they were 20 of 50. Like they're pretty darn good from beyond the arc. Not so much tonight. And the part that really, really grinds my gears a little bit about this one is they had plenty of chances. They got offensive rebounds. They should have had an absolute ton of second chance points, but they just weren't able to capitalize on all those offensive rebounds. I mean, their second chance points in this one, they had just 15 second chance points off of 14 offensive rebounds. I will, however, claim that I was pretty close to the important stat lines in our keys to the game. I said, you need to be aggressive on the glass. They were tonight. But Donovan Clingan, this would be a great game for him to go out there and have a 12-point, 16-rebound game. Well, he had 13 points and 16 rebounds, so I was pretty close on that one. But, yeah, it's, as much as you can talk about it, the first quarter is what did this team in. That first half wasn't much better. I mean, the score at halftime was 50-43 in favor of Toronto, which just feels like an old-school basketball game. Portland was shooting 34% at the time, 21% from beyond the arc, 60% from the free throw line. None of that changed much. They ended the game shooting 39% from the field and 28% from beyond the arc. And, of course, when you don't have Denny Avdia, you definitely feel that effect because you don't get to the free throw line that much. Blazers got to the free throw line just 10 times in this one. On a lot of nights, that's just Denny Avdia's stat line. like Denny got to the free throw line 10 times by himself. So factor that all in. Just a rough night. Now let's take a look at those individual box scores real quick. On the Toronto side, what did we talk about in the pregame show? Balance. They have really, really good balance on that team, and multiple guys can get you and beat you if you're not paying attention. And in this one, again, all 5 starters in double figures, 2 bench players in double figures as well. Jamison Battle had 3 points. Jamal Shed and Jonathan Mogbo did not score. Everyone else was in double figures in this one. Brandon Ingram had 20 points, 7 boards, 15 points from Scotty Barnes. As we talked about earlier, Sandro Mamu Kelashvili had 22 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. He was basically, anytime they needed a big bucket, felt like he was getting it. 20 points from Emmanuel Quickly, 10 points each from R.J. Barrett, Grady Dick, and Ogbaji. Now, looking at the Blazers side of things, Tamani Kamara, 16 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. Sidy Cissoko, 3 points, 3 rebounds, and an assist. 13 points, 16 boards from Donovan Clingan, 8 apiece on the offensive and defensive side. 21 points from Shaden Sharp, 21 points from Drew Holiday to go along with 7 assists, and 11 points off the Trailblazers bench from Caleb Love. Jeremy Grant chipped in 8. So Jeremy Grant hasn't done extremely well the last 2 games back. Maybe he's just still shaking off some rust. I don't know. But I think the biggest thing in this game, too, and Coach Thiago talked about it a little bit after the game, is just having that minutes restriction still with Drew Holiday. He played just 22 minutes, and that kind of forced Thiago to pull him out. On a normal night, he probably would have played closer to that 35-minute mark, like Tamani Kamara played 37 minutes. And Drew Holiday was probably the best player on the floor for the Blazers tonight. 9 of 14 from the floor. He was scoring. He was dishing the ball. And he was really doing a good job of calming the team down when they were trying to make that comeback and they were trying to match blow for blow with Toronto. And, when you have to sub him out because you have a minutes restriction, you can't play him that long, then, yeah, you're definitely going to hurt a little bit from that one. So, again, it is what it is. First quarter was bad. Next 3 quarters were average. And 3 average quarters and a real bad one isn't really enough for you to get a victory. And, that first quarter was bad. But here's the thing. The reason you can look at that and go, why did they even have a chance at some points in this, is because the Raptors weren't good in the first quarter either. They scored just 19 points in the first quarter. At the end of the first quarter, it was 19-12 in favor of Toronto, and then their offenses got going. Toronto ended the first quarter 8 of 21. Portland was 4 of 26. That's some real bad shooting all around. Portland was 1 of 11 from beyond the arc there as well. They had 5 turnovers in that first quarter, and then they ended up with 13 in the game. So I guess it was 13 player turnovers, 15 total team turnovers. So they were able to knock that down a little bit, be a little more cautious with the ball, but still, end of the day, that one quarter was enough to really doom them. 12 points, about as bad as you can get, keep in mind. Not the worst they've been. Worst scoring quarter in Blazers history. 5 points against the New Jersey Nets a long, long time ago. Gosh, 5 points in a quarter. I feel like you got to try to do that. That's just bad news, Bears. I don't like it. The best part about this game, though, is that you just get to wipe it. You get to wipe it, you get to move on, and now the Blazers will hit the road, and it's not going to get easier. We've talked about this a few times. This little stretch of games, pretty tough for the Blazers because you have over their next 5 games, including tonight, 4 of those games are against the top 6 teams in the Eastern Conference. You had Toronto tonight, Boston, New York, and Cleveland on this upcoming 4 games. On this 3-game trip, it's Boston, Washington, which might give you a little bit of a reprieve, and then you got New York. And then once you come back to town, you start getting a little bit of those easier games. The 2 games against Memphis, you get a game at Utah, Chicago, Charlotte, Memphis again. Indiana starts popping up on the schedule, so things hopefully start to look a little bit easier here as we head into March. And keep in mind, we're sitting here now about 2 weeks away from trade deadline. Plenty of decisions to be made on the roster too, so we'll see what happens with this team. But this next handful of games is going to be really, really important as they continue to try to hold on to a spot here in the play-in. This is the 5th quarter. I'm your host, Chris Burkhardt. If you want to join the conversation, 503-248-0620 is the telephone number. You can also go to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio, join the chat there. And get us up on the text line, 88528. Travis he was asking for some TV recommendations. He just texted me because I gave him one. 11/22/63. It's an oldie. It's 10 years old now, but it was originally a Hulu miniseries that they just re-released on Netflix this week, and I rewatched it because I did not have Hulu back when it came out, but when we did all of our traveling, there was like free Hulu on the Alaska flights, and so anytime we'd go when I was traveling with the team, I was like, oh sweet, I get a chance to watch it. So I watched every episode, but it was like weeks in between. Highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. Very, very good show. Fun premise based off of a Stephen King novel. So if you have Netflix and you got, some time to burn, you got about 8 episodes of a miniseries in you. 11/22/63. That's my shout out. All right, we're going to take a quick break here on the 5th quarter. When we come back, we're going to hit you with our drive of the night, shot of the night. Still have Coach's Corner and a game ball to hand out. All right here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620.
0 for 3 from beyond the arc. The Raptors 0 for 3, 0 for 2 from beyond the arc. Here's Ingram on the drive. Puts it up in traffic. No good. Batted around. Ingram gets it back. Now looks to the corner from Mamukelashvili. Steps back for 3, and that's good. And finally, somebody hits a shot. It's Mamukelashvili 3. Both teams started 0 for 4 and 0 for 3 from 3.
Mamukelashvili finally gets the seal off of the rim for one of the teams, because again, it wasn't just the Blazers, it was both of them coming out of there just looking slow and struggling. Final score at the end of the first quarter was 19-12. That shows you what you need to know about just how kind of off the rails wonky this game was. Both teams definitely struggled in this one. Welcome back into the fifth quarter. Chris Burkhardt here with you. If you want to join the conversation, talk about this game tonight, 503-248-0620 is the telephone number. Of course, you can hit us up on YouTube and the text line 88528. And not too much more to say about this game. Really, that first quarter was that's what did him in. It simply did him in. And without Denny, and I also think without true center depth in this one, you didn't have Dwop or Robert Williams, and you only got a handful of minutes out of Young Hansen. So it's just Donovan Clingan was out there. You didn't have a lot of depth. You had to go small at times. There was times late in the game where Donovan Clingan got a little frustrated. I think you could tell that Coach Thiago Splitter subbed him out. But the unfortunate part with DC is, as good as he is and as game-changing as he can be, like, he had a hell of a game tonight with the 13 points and 16 rebounds. But on the defensive side of things, if he's not locked in right under the rim, he gets beat. He gets beat. These smaller lineups were able to get by him real quick. You saw it last night with Bam Adebayo as well. And so it's just one of those things with him. He struggles to stay in front of guys, just plain and simple. He's not the quickest guy, either north to south or laterally. And he can be exposed a little bit. So I could understand why Coach had to go to the small lineup a few times tonight and definitely get him out of there from being exposed. Without having Robert Williams, I think Robert Williams you can tend to put in with those small lineups sometimes, because he moves very, very well for a big man when it comes to trying to stay in front of his defender. I think it goes back a little bit to what I talked about in the pregame show. What I noticed from Drew Holiday over the last few games is how from the hips down, he moves his hips and his legs like a defensive back in the NFL, so that all the movement is below the hips, but the upper body always stays in front of his defender. As where you got a couple guys like Donovan Clingan does it and Shaedon Sharpe does it, where they open up their hips and everything opens, and they try to stay like on the side of the defender rather than stay in front of him. Sometimes it's the quickness and the lack thereof to stay in front of him. Sometimes it's just bad placement, but those are little things that need to be fixed. And again, I understood why Coach went with the small lineup in those situations, just because Donovan Clingan was getting burned. Toronto was doing a great job. They knew that Donovan couldn't get back quick enough at times. They knew that Shaedon Sharpe was being just a step behind on the defensive side of the ball again, and that's why they attacked. They ran right at the rim over and over and over again. Like Marshawn Lynch talks about, hitting a guy in the face when you're running the football, just over and over and over. And over and over and over and over and over again. Like, that's what Toronto was doing, just to the basket, to the basket, to the basket, to the basket. And they were catching the defense flat-footed. I mean, there was a time at one point where Toronto did. They all started to run down, and this was in the first half, and Donovan Clingan yells at Shaedon Sharpe, like, get your man, get your man, get your man. Shaedon Sharpe late to his man. That man happens to get the ball passed to him. Easy bucket, because Shaedon Sharpe wasn't back there in time. So Toronto did a good job taking advantage of that. And I think Coach Thiago Splitter talked about in the postgame show is the way they sink defensively. They make it hard for you at the rim. So every time Portland went to the rim, there was a lot of contested shots. They probably could have kicked out more, got some more three-pointers. I think he joked and said they probably could have got 60 of them against this defense just because of the way they play. But again, that's where the benefit of Denny Avdia comes in, because he attacks the rim and finds a way to get fouled. And especially against a team like Toronto, who does crash in defensively and really tries to plug that lane, that kind of plays into the hand of someone like Denny, who is so good at finding that contact, fighting through the contact and finding his ways to and ones. One of the best in the league when it comes to those 2-point and ones. So you missed him tonight. You missed Robert Williams because just specifically with the way this team is, Toronto that is, you needed that center depth and someone that was just a little quicker, more athletic than Donovan Clingan. And so I guess it was kind of a little bit of a perfect storm of the key guys you missed matched up real well with Toronto, and Toronto just came out swinging, and you couldn't hit a shot that first quarter. So not a lot of times in the NBA that you're going to win when you score 12 points in a quarter. Got to find a way to be effective on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, they were decent in that first quarter, and then I thought the rest of the game, Toronto was smart enough to start attacking them where they were leaving their weaknesses. It was a well-coached game, well-played game by Toronto. I don't think Thiago was terrible. Like I said, I liked the substitutions and the way he was trying to match guys and find strengths that could go against Toronto's weaknesses that were out there. But it doesn't matter what your lineup is. If you can't hit shots, then what are you going to do? They say it. This is a make or miss league, and tonight Portland missed, and it bit him in the rear end. If you want to join the conversation, give me your thoughts. YouTube.com is one way. Just go there, type in Rip City Radio. You can join the chat. You can head on over to the text line, too. Send us a text. Everyone knows how to text nowadays, right? Just text 88528, and you'll get your thoughts there. And, of course, you can dial in the phone number if you want, 503-248-0620. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back, hit you with the Coach's Corner, and hand out a game ball. But before we do, it's time for your drive of the night.
Live from the Coors Light Studios, Coors Light, mountain cold refreshment. Choose chill. It's time for the fifth quarter drive of the night on your home of the Portland Trailblazers, 620 Rip City Radio.
Holiday to Clingan underneath to the rim and dunks it in. That shook the rim.
Post about it where they hold the wrestling tournament down at the Evergreen Aviation Museum, and the wrestling match like under the tail of the spruce goose. Like, how awesome is that? How is that? JJ asks, Air Force versus Yukon. When is this much anticipated matchup happening? Let's see if this show ends in time and I get home and you're still up. That's when this anticipated matchup happens. This is when the gauntlet is thrown. Everyone wants a piece of Coach Burkhardt here in the reality that is college football 26. So, just bring it, as The Rock would say back in the Attitude Era. But no, that was a cool little event there for Linfield Wrestling. I want to go watch an event under the spruce goose. Like, how flipping cool. Can we put a basketball court out there? Let's do it. All right, that's a long intro since we're supposed to be heading to the coach's corner. Let's hear from head coach Tiago Splitter.
Of course, think about it, but honestly, flush it and look forward.
What do you think factored into the poor start on offense? Was it just like shot making or an energy thing, do you think?
Honestly, I will have to check, but they were in the gaps, like helping a lot, so we couldn't get to the rim easily. Just kind of like letting us shoot, and we were not making the shots on it. That's what I have in my mind right now. The film that we watched in the halftime, that was a little bit the formula they have. They shrink a lot and let us shoot from outside. And of course, we didn't have a good night shooting the ball. So you go 13 for 45, not a great shooting night, and that's it's hard to win.
How would you describe the first quarter?
Helpless sometimes, but there's nights that we are a little bit off like that. You just gotta keep pounding and trust. There were nights that we started like that and we changed it around. It was not the case tonight, but like I said, we gotta flush that one and get together, watch film. What can we do better? Maybe the shot selection, we'll see. But I think for the most part, we shot 45 threes. For the most part, those were good shots. Some shots at the rim were not good, where we shot heavily contested shots because they were there. And, we only get to the free throw line 10 times. So, it's kind of like that was the game there.
Do you think there were maybe some more threes out there for you guys that were passed up?
Probably, because they shrink a lot. That's what they do. They kind of like help. They come blitz from behind. So we probably could shoot 60, if I'm honest. But this is what they bet on, and this is the way they play. They want to create those. If you don't shoot it, they create turnovers because they're really there, and then they run. So that's their style, and that's what they do.
How important was Drew keeping you guys in the game? And is it kind of frustrating that you have to take him out with the minutes restriction when he's playing that well?
It was great, and yes.
Seems like he's playing. Grant played a little more, right? They're slowly starting to boost those guys up, maybe.
Yeah, it was a little bit. There's a science behind it. I hate to say, but there is where Drew was out for longer when he was injured. So and Jeremy still has a little bit more of let's say shape, but also is a different player. Drew has the ball a lot, has run more miles, so there's a little difference there too.
Who is the MVP tonight for the Trailblazers? It's time for Game Balls on Fifth Quarter, live from the Coors Light Studios. Coors Light, choose chill.
And there you hear from head coach Tiago Splitter. I just like the how good was Drew, and was it frustrating to take him out? And he's like, very good, and yes. I would agree. I would agree, Tiago, because we definitely wanted to see him more. And he gets my game ball tonight. Drew Holiday does. Thought he was absolutely wonderful. Did a really good job slowing these guys down when they needed him to. He was in control every single time he was on the floor. The offense looked good, and he got everything he needed to do. What I love about him the most is just how slow he gets to the rim, but he's just in control the whole time. There's purpose behind it. Just a smart player, and tonight I thought he was probably the best Trailblazer. I think they were hurt a little bit by that added minutes restriction because it meant that he couldn't play as many minutes as Thiago would like. He only played 22, and I think if this was a game where he's fully healthy and they need him, he's probably playing 35. So that definitely impacted the game tonight. Didn't impact me handing down the game ball. He absolutely deserved it, even though the Blazers lost. Once again, final score 110-98 in favor of the Toronto Raptors. Blazers do get a chance to, get back in action here. They're going to hit the road, and it's going to be tough. They got at Boston on Monday, at Washington on Tuesday, and then on Friday they have the New York Knicks. Definitely pay attention to especially those Monday and Tuesday games. Class currently scheduled for 8 p.m. and 7 p.m. in Boston and Washington, which will be a 5 o'clock and a 4 o'clock tip-off here. But with this big winter storm that's about to hit that part of the country, you've already seen some teams start to change their tip-off times and puck drops and all that stuff. So just pay attention. Make sure that the game time for that Boston game doesn't change. Maybe it's one of those things where they say, okay, the game is scheduled for 8, but we're going to play it at noon instead, so that people who do want to come and all our staff, all that, it's easier and safer than driving in the snow late at night. You never know. We've seen these things happen before. So just pay attention. It's a tough little stretch right here, and then the schedule starts to really loosen up. Like I said, the 2 games against Memphis coming up, Charlotte, Utah in the month of March, obviously the Pacers, the Nets. There's going to be wins. And hopefully, fingers crossed, on Monday you get Denny Avdia back. All right, that's going to do it for the 5th quarter tonight. Short and sweet, back-to-backs, and we're out of here. Blazers win one, lose one, but that's okay. Still nice if you think about it, to when they lose a game to say the Blazers fall to 500. Things are still good. They're in a real good spot here in January. Chance to keep climbing up. Hopefully they do so here on this little East Coast trip that they got to take. Going to be rough, but if they get healthy, they can win ball games. Just chalk this one up. Move on. As Thiago said, flush it. Get out of here. Once again, final score. The Raptors 110, your Trailblazers 98. The Blazers will be back in action on Monday. Currently, as scheduled, tip-off is for 5 o'clock, meaning I will have Blazers game day for you starting at 3 right here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. Rip City, I will talk to you on the next one.